All right, welcome to episode number 21 of So What Do You Know About Business? And this is the Happy Hour podcast where five women entrepreneurs talk about either specific topics, we mastermind, or just lessons learned in business. So I'm your host, I'm Erin Smith, and this is part of the podcast where we go around and introduce ourselves. Cocktails are not required, but they're highly recommended. And just introduce yourself, tell us what business you're with, and tell us what you're drinking. So we have a guest tonight, Miss Alicia. You can please start out. Just introduce yourself, tell us your business, and if you happen to have a cocktail, tell us what you're drinking.
Hey ladies, my name is Alicia Askew, and I am the Purpose-Driven Mother. I started this business in January where I am a life coach, podcaster, and a mother empowerment movement starter. So I'm super excited. I have a tall glass of water because I didn't know drinks were allowed.
Sorry. I know.
Next
It's
time.
kind of a last minute. We'll get you next time for sure. But it's okay. Enjoy your water. All right, Andrea, I'll go to you next.
I said you can go get one. I'm Andrea Trevelyan. I am a business coach specializing in helping you streamline and grow your business from a profit standpoint. I am drinking a Pinot Grigio this evening.
Very nice. Chandra, I have you next in my feed.
Hey y'all, I am Chandra Achberger, coming to you from Austin, Texas, South by Southwest. I haven't done anything there. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom, and artist, and I am happy to be here. I just sent one of my kids, oh, there we go. Look at this. One of the benefits of having kids. Come in, Abby. Thank you. I am drinking water, delivered by Abby.
I like that putting the children to work thing.
Exactly.
All right, Megan, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan from meganflat.com, and I am a business strategist and a time management consultant for mom business owners, moms who want to build and grow their dream businesses while still being present in the day-to-day lives of their kids. And I am also drinking water. I'm just rushing in. A couple of the kids at my daughter's preschool figured out how to open the back gate, and so they had like the whole preschool on lockdown, so no one could leave until they like counted all the kids, and everyone was there, everything was fine, but it's like that. And I mean, I could see my daughter, I knew she was there, but it is that moment of like, oh my gosh. So I'm like scraping in here. I probably do need the glass of wine, but I'm just drinking water today.
Calm the nerves a little bit for
Right.
sure.
Right.
All right, well, I'm Erin Smith, and I'm looking at myself, and this lipstick is horrible. I just got an Ipsy thing, and I'm like, let me put this lipstick on. I'm like, oh, it's horrible, but I didn't have time to take it off. So
It matches the your
yeah,
microphone.
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Shouldn't match that, but yeah, it does. So I'm with the Starters Club. I help people start and grow their businesses organically. I'm drinking. I've just hit a wall, so drinking would probably not be good for me. And I'll just say I'm having like a bad case of missing out itis because like South by Southwest is going on, and I'm missing out. And then JJ's at a Brendan Bouchard event, and I'm missing out on that. So I'm kind of like in this funky, I should have gone type of mood. So anyway, let's go around. I know we don't have a specific topic to talk about tonight, or maybe we can piggyback off somebody else's, but this is a part where we just talk about a specific lesson learned this week in our business. It could be pretty much anything, a new tool, lesson, something just to be reminded of again. And so Alicia, since you're a guest, we're going to go with you first tonight. Tell us something that you learned particularly in your business this week.
Well, this week I am actually learning how to manage two businesses, one of which is my own, the Purpose-Driven Mother, and then I am also acting as like a sidekick personal assistant for another lady who is now my business coach, Moms with Dreams University. So this is my second week in, and the first week I kind of put my business on hold to figure out her business, and now I'm trying to intermingle the two. So I found out how important it is to have a schedule, to prioritize your task, and to know what you are going to have planned for the day. Because if you don't, then your head is going to explode because you feel like you have so much to do and so little time to do it. So definitely just going into the day with a schedule and a plan, it definitely helped me to kind of calm my nerves and to get more done.
So how are you dividing your time? How did you determine to divide your time?
Well, I looked at my priority task, and I seen, okay, so what things have to be executed on certain days. And then I was able to figure out, okay, if I know that I have my podcast coming out on Thursdays, then I have to make sure that I have my time set up for that during the day before. So I was just, depending on what she had going on and what I had going on, my schedule would have to fluctuate depending on which day it was.
Yeah, I know Megan teaches. I know you're like really good at that, Megan. I'm horrible about time management.
Yeah, no, I actually just got back. I just led a workshop on, pretty much exactly this topic, like how to kind of structure your time, especially for us that are moms. I think we're all moms on the call today because, like I just did. It was like I was teaching a workshop at a co-working space, then raced to get my daughter, had a little hiccup there, raced home, got her situated with her, iPad and her milk in front of the, on the couch, and then so it is kind of structuring out your time and planning ahead, like what needs to be done, and being able to roll with the punches a little bit too.
Yeah, the kids throw in a interesting little tidbit. Like it just gets so, and I feel like so kind of fake sometimes because I'll be, doing this podcast. Usually I've got help, and today I have help. So, but it's like you feel like you're mom of the year when you like throw your kids in front of a movie and you're like, don't make a sound, don't fight, just be at peace in this 1 hour. And then it's like I feel so bad doing it, but we all have to do it, and it's hard.
But I also look at it too, that I get to, she's in front of a cartoon drinking her milk right now, but I get to spend a lot more time with her, like if I had a traditional 9-to-5 job outside of the home, I get to spend a lot more time with my kids with this type of job. And yeah, that does mean that sometimes they have to watch a TV show or entertain themselves while I get something done.
No, I agree.
And it's also like good for them.
Totally.
Like it's really, we forget about that, right? Like everybody is just like screen time and there's all this stuff. I'm like, an iPad is not screen time. Sorry, as like a software, like former software developer and whatever, it's totally interactive. And B, even if they're not, even if they put that down, like it's our job to make them, they have to, one, see their parents be happy and fulfilled, right? Like that's number one, where like we have to be doing what we want to do, and we have to be the people that we want them to be as well. But like two, they need to know how to handle stuff on their own, and it starts very, very young. And it's not like just like alone, like, all right, now go hunt this wolf and we're going to eat it for dinner. Like, it's not like that, but like,
well, speak for yourself, Chandra. I do have my kids out hunting right now.
But like, we do that like in our heads, right? Like, we're just like, oh my gosh, we're like the worst parents ever because we totally, like, I call it the nanny, like the nanny too, like, okay, plopping you down. But they like figure out their own stuff, and that's really important for them to do. And it's really important for them to see us do things that we like to do too, like, and take breaks, right?
Yep.
And then, Sandra, I want to piggyback off of you. I mean, it would be completely different if we were just sitting down on the couch on Facebook all the time, but we're actually working, doing something productive. So there's a difference between, okay, plopping your child in front of the TV with milk when you are doing your business stuff compared to, oh, I'm going to do some gossiping on the social media and I don't feel like, bothering my child. So it's a little different there also.
Oh, stay-at-home mom is totally sitting on the couch drinking wine and eating bonbons, right? Like that's what we all do.
Well, bonbons. Next Thursday, I'm bringing bonbons.
Well, let me say this though. This is going to sound totally catty, but I've seen some stay-at-home moms sitting on the Facebook being totally negative, and it's like, I hate my kid, I hate my life. So, and not even just stay-at-home moms. I see a lot of people doing that, but I agree, and I can be guilty of it too. Like where I'm scrolling through face, and I'm like, Erin, this is not productive. Get off of this. Like work from your kids, and then when you're with your kids, be with your kids. Versus, I've had my moments where I'm not proud of.
But but then like even to take that a step further, and I completely agree with you, and I think it is, and it's part of my lesson for this week is, I think it's important for our kids to see us working and going after our dreams. But honestly, like the other day, what were we gonna do? They'd had dinner. My husband was out late. We'd bought like the refrigerator cookie dough, that you just like plop out. They were all excited to make it, and I just said to them, I'm like, you guys, I need to sit for 10 minutes. Like, go do whatever you want. Go play. And I sat on my phone for, it was longer than 10 minutes, and scrolled through Facebook because I was just like, I just need to sit. And like sometimes that's okay too. And they were fine. Like, like Chandra said, like they were entertaining themselves. And then when we were done with that, I like to say we made cookies because we just like broke off the little chunks and put them on a cookie sheet. But, we did something that they were looking forward to. We made cookies. So again, like, we're not going to be like deadbeat moms where, it's like 20 hours of that. But I think if you just need a little break too, that's okay.
But, I think one of the things that is the most detrimental to us as moms is that we think we have to be with our kids all the time. Like if you look at our parents' generations and even their parents didn't play with their kids. I do not remember a time where my mom played something with me, unless it was like family board game. Like unless we were doing like everybody was doing Monopoly. Like my sister and I got home from school, entertained ourselves while she was working because we were latchkey, and then when she was home, she was cooking and cleaning, and I think there's a lot to be said that we don't have to hover over our children non-stop.
No, I would agree with that. My quality time with my parent, I just realized this after you said that. I'm like, God, it explains so much about me. But my quality time, this is not good. I would not like encourage you to raise your children my mom's here, I better watch what I say. But I like all my quality time with my family was working. Like that's all we did. Like it was like that's what we did when we hung out. We were working, which is totally messed up now. But now I'm like, no wonder why I like really have a hard time hanging out with friends outside of work. Like every life's been working. But anyway, that's reason 500,000 why I'm screwed up. So Andrea, I'll go to you. What did you learn this week?
Well, I learned this week a lesson that I am constantly preaching to my own clients, and that is that your business is constantly evolving. You don't make a decision and it stays. And so, like, for me, what it looked like was, you want to stick with something. You don't want to go, I'm going to blog, and then stop after a few weeks. You've got to give it time to work. You've got to give the consistency. But then at the same time, as your business evolves and changes, and you evolve and change, and society evolves and change, your business has to go with it. So, and I tell that to my clients all the time, but I really, processed that this week and came out with, I'm not going to blog. I'm not going to do a written blog anymore. And I have blogged regularly for like 3 years now. And it wasn't until this summer that I started missing days because it wasn't working. And I finally kind of had one of those aha moments through a bunch of different apps that I'm like, okay, wait a second. My clients have changed, my approach has changed, society has changed, technology has changed. So my original plan from 7 years ago is no longer completely applicable. So I need to adapt and change with it. So in its place, I will now be starting in a few weeks my own podcast. I love that. Because your business doesn't just stand still. And it wasn't working for me, even though I tried to stick with it. At some point, I had to raise the flag and go, okay, this isn't working. Here's where my clients are. And to be honest, it was a lot of personality, too. I was like, okay, I sound like a stuffy old finance person. And when I talk, I don't. I have a personality. I have fun. I enjoy laughing. So that's my big aha. Business has to change, and I am going to give up my marketing plan of 7 years and change.
Yay, congratulations.
See, I told you I couldn't react the same way. She told us right before the show, so I had to do the applause thing. But congratulations, that's so awesome.
I liked the applause thing.
I think it's just such a good reminder, too, and I had to remind myself of this a couple weeks ago, and I made a little, Instagram graphic that I posted. It's like, this is your business. Like, if you were working, if you were going to do what someone else was telling you to do, you'd go work for someone else. Like, this is your business. You get to decide what that looks like. You get to decide if you blog or podcast or don't at all, or you get to decide if you work on Tuesdays or you don't work on Tuesdays. Like, that's like, being an entrepreneur is really, really hard, and I think we have to take the perks where we can get them, and that's one of the perks, is that you get to do what you think is right for your business. And of course there's best practices, and we can learn from other people, but at the end of the day, it's just tying it into our first it's just like parenting. Like, you can read the parenting books, you can listen to the expert, but at the end of the day, it's your family and you make the decisions, and it's the same thing with your business. So good job. I don't have the cool, I'll really clap. I don't have the cool clap with that.
Well, and I think, it's another thing, the longer you're in business, the more you have to really be aware of how things are changing around you. And I know you see this a lot for businesses that have been around, even longer than I have, like the whole social media thing. They're having trouble adjusting to it. So when I first started in business, Facebook didn't exist. Twitter didn't exist. Blogging was new but not popular, and halfway through my career as being an entrepreneur, blogging became popular. So when I came up with my marketing plan for this business, you didn't podcast. Like, the podcasts were put out by Stanford. It wasn't something that, you did. And I got stuck in the trap of, well, this is how you promote and this is what works for me, instead of going, all right, what do I want? But also, what is available to me that wasn't available? And it's okay to drop what I had been doing. I can stop writing and I will be okay.
Well, and it also, it's your voice, right? And it's not like literally, well, yes, literally, but it is your voice, and what fits you and your clients. I love that you said, the first thing you said is this is where you take a look, where you are and where your clients are, and you adapt and you adjust and you pivot, and that never ends. As long as you're in business for anything, you cannot have a fixed mindset. You just can't. And a marketing plan, and you're a planner, right? So I can't talk because I'm not a planner at all. So you have your 5-year, your 10-year, your 25-year, and then you break it back, and that is awesome. But I love that you're one of the first financial people that I can actually talk to, outside of my husband, who is really good with these type of conversations, who sees that. And you go with it and see what's working for you, and then also what's working for small business, because I think we miss this a lot as far as what marketing is going to work for a small business that's just starting out with the algorithms that are going on right now and does not have 1 million+ followers, 100,000+ followers. And I think we like to follow the success stories, but it has to be what works for you, and it has to be what works for the people that you're trying to speak to and grow, or just stay the course,
And I think you also really have to look at your industry. Like, if I look at the finance industry, when I look at getting ranked in like the Google algorithms, I'm competing with Quicken and Citi and American Express. Like, it is crazy hard for me to even get to page 20. So it just doesn't work for my industry. So the fact that I can, talk to people and have a conversation and not be like this and put everybody to sleep because I am talking about their P&Ls, I can, if I do, and my dog is going to bark because somebody rang the bell. If I go to one of these offshoots, I'm competing with the American. So you really also have to evaluate your industry and what works best.
No, completely agree. I like where you're talking about, because I'm having kind of that crisis. It's like just trying to figure out your voice and what fits best. I really like that perspective. So Chandra, we'll go to you next. I know we got some a week.
Like so all over the place. I am so all over the place. I guess like I'll do a physical, like actual lesson learned for so I guess keeping consistency, which is really hard when you're kind of an all over the place person, and this goes with the scheduling and everything that we are talking about, right? Like, so you need to stick with the plan, but I think sometimes we have unrealistic dates attached to those plans, right? And unrealistic on how we're going to feel about something at the end of it, and then also after a launch. Like I was on a call earlier today for through Thrive Hive, which we're a part of. Some of us are a part of, and we talked about what happens after a launch, and then you're just tired of it 2 weeks later, right? Like and of whatever product it is and what have you. And I think I'm so all over the place that I'm like I don't even know my train of thought. But I think knowing, like being prepared for success, and then like having realistic date goals is really important, so that we don't absolutely drive ourselves crazy, and realizing that we do trade in security for freedom, and that's part of being an entrepreneur, and looking at these things of being like, okay, my number one priority is my family. It will be always for the rest of my life, and being like, and it gets very frustrating when you're like, okay, I have this deadline, I want to have this up on my site, and then like someone needs to eat breakfast for like so like every hour breakfast needs to be served, right? Like, or like I get, and then the whole comparison is the thief of joy, and everybody's like, oh, it's after, like my kids are back in school or whatever, and I'm just like, but like this is my choice, these are my choices, and you have to be okay with those choices. And if you're not, like you have to like reassess, you have to take a step back and always pivot. But just like set yourself up for success, set yourself up to be in line with your values. And I think a lot of times people don't know what those are, like the fundamental, like what is the real goal? Because you think like, okay, I just want to make this much money, or I want to have this much from this launch, and we set our goals on stuff a lot of times on things we don't have control of. Like I want, by the end of the month, I want 60 more followers on this platform, and you're just like, how do you can try for that, and you can like implement the different strategies that you have learned, but you can't really like measure that. The only thing you can really measure is if you are going in the direction of your goal, right? Like one foot in front of the other, and not beat yourself up over not having it not be perfect, because it'll never be perfect. Done is better than perfect. I'm learning that this week again. For the rest of my freaking life, I'll be learning that.
No, it's you preaching to the choir. I'm the worst. I've talked about this. My biggest flaw is setting horrible unrealistic deadlines. I'm like, oh yeah, because I refuse to live in the world that I have children, but I do have children, but I refuse to believe I can't get the things done that I could before. Like, I refuse to believe my brain power is not what it used to be. Like, it used to be I could plow through a day, and I'd get home and I could continue to plow, and I could stay up till 3, 4 in the morning working, and it was effective. And now it's just not, and it kills me every day because I set these, I'm going to get this done. This podcast, like I spent 3 hours the other night getting YouTube up right, getting these things downloaded, getting this, and I still have stuff to do, and putting, the title page on everything. And it's like, dang, that should not take me 3 hours. That's a 30-minute task in my head, but it's just, I have a really, really, really hard time with it. So I feel your pain.
Well, and I think the hard part with that people don't even think about until they're faced with a crisis is when we don't properly allow for time to get things done the right way, what falls by is self-care. And when self-care falls by, eventually our health is going to pay. The less we sleep, the less healthy we are. Our bodies repair when we're asleep. We don't get our exercise. We don't do that. And we'll end up being 60, 70 with health problems. It's just not worth it. But we don't think about that. So, and then as far as those damn kids always needing food, you got to take my line. From the age of about 3.5, Max has been in cooking classes. I put him in cooking classes every single summer. I buy the little boxes of like muffins, like the healthy blueberry muffins, and he will come home from school and be like, I want a snack, and he will bake himself some muffins.
Awesome.
He knows how to make his own lunch. So you got to train them. Just go take care of yourself.
Yeah, and
I'm laughing because...
Sorry, go ahead, Megan.
I was just gonna speak to that too. Like, while we're on the call, my daughter is yelling from the other room that she's cold and she wants to be covered with the blanket, which is on the back of the couch where she's sitting. And she's 4. It's not like she's, and I'm yelling back. I'm like, cover yourself with a blanket. She's like, I can't. I'm like, oh my God. So I have not done a good job, apparently, training my kids to be independent.
Yeah, and my kids do fine on their own, but we are homeschooling, right? So it is, it's just like they are always here. Like, everybody's always here. My husband's always here. Like, everybody is always here. So, like, it's just, like, constantly people in the space. So there's something to be said about self-care. But, like, what I have to remind myself of is that something has to give, right? Like, unless you just want, like, life to be mediocre, like, you can't just give the same amount of attention to everything, right? Everything can't be this equivocal thing that we have in our head, like, oh, work-life balance and whatever. It's just like at each given moment, something has to give, and you have to, like, know you have to choose what it's going to be, like, at that moment. And it's just hard. It's hard, and this is where scheduling is just super duper important to be like, okay, this is family time. This is my time to get work done, and it just is what it is. So.
And that was actually one of my lessons learned for the week too. And I did a video about it, but I didn't post it just because I'm so critical of myself sometimes. But just about looking at your reality and whether you're setting your expectations at a high level or an unrealistic level, there's a difference. So expectations is about the likelihood that something is going to happen. So if you know in your mind that it's not going to happen and you're still setting it, then that's an unrealistic expectation, especially for your reality. Like you said, we're all moms and we have, different things going on. My son's 2 years old, and it took me like over an hour to do a Mimi because my son wanted to keep coming in and out of asking for different things in the midst of it. So it's just like, just setting your expectations to where you know that you're able to accomplish it no matter what goes on. A diaper explodes, or there's some drawings on the wall, whatever it is, but being able to accept that in the midst of it that you might not be able to get it perfect, get it exactly how you want it. And the people who are looking at your stuff, they might not even notice, a period missing or the line's a little crooked in a Mimi. So just get it done, like they said, and everything will be okay. Life will continue going.
Well, and if those people that do care, let them move along and go to somebody who is a perfectionist, because it's not going to be me, that's for sure. That's how I look at it. All right, Megan, you are next. You got a big day tomorrow, right? Closing launch.
Yes, yeah. Tomorrow, Friday, is the last day. Cart closes for my Mama Mastermind. So, next week we'll talk about lessons learned from the launch. I'm still in a raw open wound. I texted my mastermind group last night that I think launching should be used as a form of torture. I think man, it's rough. But no, it's going well. It's just, and kind of, again, I love how we kind of end up having these themes without planning ahead. But it's something that I was able to do this time because I had planned pretty well. I think you can never kind of plan perfectly, but I'd planned pretty well ahead of time. This is the second time I've launched this program, so I knew a little bit more what to expect from it, and I was able to kind of, my kids are a little bit older now. My kids are 4 and 6.5, and my husband, I was able to kind of prep everyone a little more, and I was able to kind of say, especially this week that we're in right now, this week is going to be crazy. I just kind of put everybody, and I was actually able to have a really sweet conversation with my son last night about, what I was doing and why I've been really busy this week, and, how next week is going to look different. And so that is one of the launch, the launch secrets, or, launch lessons that I can share this week, is that having a plan and kind of prepping the people around you. And I actually reached out to a business friend about, my launch started last week, and I reached out to her, and her job, I sent her a Facebook message and said, your job is to keep me sane for the next 2 weeks. And so she sends me little, just little Facebook messages, a couple of times a day, hey, how's it going? How are you feeling? So it's nice, and so I feel like I did a better job putting a support system into place, making sure I had my content planned out. And of course, there's always going to be those scrambles. I stayed up way too late last night. I'm thinking tonight's going to be another late night, getting all the cart closing emails ready for tomorrow. But definitely kind of the combination of our topics of having a plan in place, and then just also, I'm a mom and I've got 2 kids, and I ended up writing my blog post last night. I'd saved it for way the last minute. It was one of the things that I didn't plan very well ahead of time, was my blog post that went out this morning. And my son, he was having a really hard time falling asleep, and I ended up sitting on his floor in his bedroom and helping him, while he fell asleep, and he was coughing and he's got a little bit of a cold. And I ended up writing this blog post with one finger, on my phone, and it was a letter to him about what I'm doing and what I'm launching. And I didn't plan it, but I realized as I was writing it that it so talks about what I want to talk about with the Mama Mastermind, that this is what we balance. And I posted it. I didn't make my formal graphic that I normally make for my blogs. I didn't do all the things. I forgot in the newsletter, I forgot to even link back to the blog. I mean, I made all the mistakes, and I have gotten so much positive feedback, and so many people have hit reply or commented oh my gosh, you made me cry in my morning coffee this morning, and it just is a good reminder too that sometimes just getting real. And I really wrote the blog post with my thumb. I really had an entirely different blog post. On my fancy editorial calendar, I was writing an entirely different thing, and it just was I need to write a letter to my son about what it's like to be a mama CEO, and what it's like to be in the middle of a launch when your kids are sick, and that was a really good lesson too, just about how important it is to be real and authentic.
Well, and I think, and this is very odd for me, I'm going to have to say this, I think I have the oldest kid here. And amongst our friends, we have the youngest. So it gets easier, but what you did, I think, is critical. because when they understand that, we're not just playing on Facebook and that we're running a business and this is what I do, they approach it very differently. Like, one of the books that I have in paperback is about teaching preschoolers about money. I dedicated that book to my son. He has his copy. He talks about it. He knows about it. He discusses business with me. Like, he understands because I talk about it. So I think it's really critical that we keep that in mind as moms, that they're not separate. They're absolutely 100% not separate. And so we need to talk about it. We need to intertwine them and plan correctly and go forward.
Yeah, and I think I couldn't agree more with all of you, and good on you, Megan, for like just being authentic and putting yourself out there, because that's like really super hard to do, right? Like, I mean, it's just like we like to think of this was another lesson this week. We like to think of like these big brands, right? Like I kind of discussed this before, but like these big brand, like there's business and then there's family, and like we can't do that. Right? This is not an option for us. Like, it just is not if we want what we want out of our lives, right? And you're just doing the good work. And I love that you said how you like set up support. And I just like have never even like thought of doing that, right? Like, so like you set up a friend to keep you mentally sane. I was up all night with Atlas as well, like just like. But I did, and I wrote a letter to him the night before, but that's because his birthday is coming up, and I haven't done that, and it was like a real heart-touching thing. But it's very interesting where you find yourself, like even in concentric circles, where it's just like people are at the same spot, but like that's awesome. I think I've set up like accountability partners, and my husband is very much so. He's a project manager of project managers. Like, that's what he does. And so like I have him as an accountability, but like I think for staying sane,
right. We kind of forget that part.
Awesome. That's so awesome, and then it like lets you get to the end. Like, you're at the point, and then you think you're at the end, and then it starts again. But that's so cool. Good on you.
Well, I think it's hard too. Again, I kind of joked with one of my business friends about my husband that like people who don't launch things don't understand launching things, because it's just not. I mean, I guess in every business you have kind of these big things, and my husband has definitely had big projects in his business, and he manages a huge team. But I think, even for our partners or for our girlfriends or whatever it is, like, well, why can't you come out for drinks on Thursday night? Or why can't you do, I think because what we do, it's like, okay, it's going to be really intense right now. And it's I think saying it out loud to people was also a good reminder for me. Like, it's going to be really intense. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be emotional. I definitely had the moments over the weekend where I was like, no one is ever going to hire me ever again. My family's going to eat top ramen. And, you go through all of those phases. And so I think sometimes saying those things out loud, like me knowing that I needed to reach out to a friend and say, hey, it's probably going to be crazy for the next couple of weeks. Can you help me stay sane? Was a reminder to me that, hey, it's probably going to be crazy for the next couple of weeks. Try to stay sane. So yeah, the more support, the better, right?
I agree. I like the idea too of the sanity thing. I never thought of that before. So mine is kind of similar. I know we're running low on time, and it's all the feeding of pivoting, doing what's best for you. And I share this story just kind of from a do what's best for you type of thing. So I have several courses, and one of the courses I have is random, but it's a course that I'm very passionate about, and it's helping chiropractors build a business outside regular chiropractic. So if you don't want to take insurance, if you don't want to find the people who are just searching for a chiropractor, if you're trying to help people who are truly wanting to get well and get answers, then I'm going to teach you specifically how to do this, because if you want to be a slimy jerk, I'm not your girl. I'm not going to, this program's not for you. So anyway, I launched this program last year. Totally did the launch horrible. I always share the story about how I just bombed it, but I got quite a few students from it, just from doing everything wrong. And I got them through it. They're doing really well. I've got one girl branching out and like on her own, starting her own practice. Got another couple people like building their. It's really cool to see. And so then in October, I tried to relaunch it the right way, right? So I did all my launch videos, which if you launching is freaking exhausting, and doing those videos, and I ran my Facebook ad, and and it bombed because these people totally did not. They were like cool with, yeah, I want to learn how to do this, but they did not get the whole concept. They're not used to this. They don't know Jeff Walker and his formula. So I shut the cart down, and then I'm getting these emails like months later, like, hey, I wanted to watch those videos. Where are they? And I'm like, you're supposed to watch them in those. Long story short, it was a failure. And so I'm like, I gotta launch this again. And I've had like my students that have taken it like begging me to launch it because they want to sell it. And I told them, I'd give them an affiliate from it. And finally I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna do a sales page, and I'm just gonna do a regular, like, why am I stressing about this? So I wrote up my sales page last week, sent it to the big list I built, for my Facebook ads, and just said, hey, here it is. This is me. I'm passionate about this. I want to help you who want to do this differently. If you want to play, if you want to see somebody 30 times and really not get them well, just so you can milk the insurance and milk the money, I'm not your girl. Go somewhere else. I want you to be able to specialize and conform. And I just opened it. It's going to close Tuesday. It's like been the best thing in the world. I've got sales dripping in. I got people asking me questions. And it was so relaxed. Like, it was just me being me. I created another video that I'm going to put up tomorrow, really, explaining it, because the cart's going to close next Tuesday. And I'm like, I so overcomplicated this thing and bombed. And you got to look at your clients and look what works. And I'm not like, this is not my blockbuster program. This is a program I'm just truly passionate about, wanting to help these people. And I'm like, dang, I so overcomplicated it. So it was just that lesson learned of pivoting. If something doesn't work, try it again. It's not, I could have said, nobody wants this program. It sucks. But people want it. They need help. I just had to sell it right and do it in a format that actually worked. So it's been a great lesson learned. It's been so much less stress, and I'm in launch mode. I'm like, yeah, great. Oh, good. Another person signed up. This is awesome. Like, it's so different.
Well, a couple of things. One, your energy shifted. So that also probably let a lot of stuff in.
I haven't sworn about anybody this time around.
But number two, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. It depends on your industry. So you seriously leave the online world, and business owners function very, very differently. So they're interested in it. They don't get its closing. They don't understand all that. Like, I'm going to be launching in April, and I will tell you, it's launching in April. It's not closing because a lot of my target market, they need finance business help, and they need it now, not again in 3 months. So your clientele, the industry you are trying to target, didn't do that formula. You learned that.
And I totally am changing the whole, like, it's going to be in an evergreen. The opt-in's going to be completely different. No more freaking launch videos on that one. I'm not saying they don't work, and I'm not saying that at all, because I will do launch videos again in another thing I launch. But if you don't have to do it, don't do it. God, those things
and
are
it's
exhausting.
just like Andrea said, like, it's just, I mean, we just get caught up because we study online marketing for our own businesses. Like, we try to think that we think that those are the best practices for our businesses, but it's not if your people aren't into online marketing. Like, they don't know who all these people are. They don't know these strategies, and like, you have to meet your audience. You have to meet your target market where they are. Like, and your people, right? If you have if you're building a tribe, whatever it is you're doing, you have to meet them where they are, and not just have this idea. It's like, well, these Facebook ads worked for this person, and this strategy worked for this person, so it definitely should work for me. And it's just not going to. It's this web that we have to weave for ourselves, and it's so individual. It's upsetting, but.
Well, it goes back to what we've talked about before. We're learning this stuff from people who are marketing to online marketers, so we think it works for everything. It doesn't. My favorite clients are the ones, their businesses are nowhere near online. They're not on Facebook. They're not on LinkedIn. They found me by doing very specific Google searches. And nobody talks about or teaches you that. So pay attention to where your market is.
Yeah, I agree. And not everybody, and that's the thing too, you don't, just because you're running a business, and that's why I refuse to, and I know I'm kind of probably shooting myself in the foot I refuse to say I'm going to show you how to make the easy online business, because it doesn't have to be online. Like, I ran 2 very successful businesses offline, and it doesn't, online's great, but that's why I've never focused on that, because I know I probably should focus, but it just has never been. I don't want to be that cheesy, you've got to do the online thing. I know Maggie Patterson wrote a great blog post about it one time. Like, you don't have to be the entrepreneur that travels all over the world in order to be successful. Like she made a comment about Starbucks would not exist without baristas, and I didn't like that analogy because it made me imagine a world without Starbucks, but it's true. It's like, I was like, don't ever say things like that. But it's true. Like, there's some people who have to work. That's what their job is. And there's some people who have to run your dry cleaning store, and they're very successful and they enjoy doing it. It doesn't have to be this online world thing that people, think you're not cool if you don't do.
And people enjoy doing that, right? Like, there are people very, very fulfilled. Like, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and then it also, and there's so many facets, right? Like, I'm going into the art world, and that is completely different than the online coaching services world, which is completely different from the retail space that I was in before, and whatever. I mean, it's all different, and just finding what's right for you. But also, there is no, just because something's online too, it doesn't mean that it's quick and easy. Like, nothing is quick and easy. No. It just isn't. And I think people have this idea, okay, build me a website, and then if you build it, they will come, and they think about that about across the board. Like, if you do the certain launch a certain way, then they will come. And it's just like, no, if you don't have anybody on a list, you're not talking to anybody.
No, and real quick, I actually just did a video. It's on my list of things to post, but the letters that people write, I had to borrow the conference fee of $2,000, and so I went to this conference and everything just fell into place, like those stories. So people are like, oh my God, I just have to make this $20,000 investment in myself, and then everything's going to fall into place. It's like, no, it doesn't quite. I mean, the conference can help you, but you've got to actually put action into place behind that, and it's not this whole magic thing that happens when you make that really big investment. So I love those stories too of people, how easy it'll be. You just gotta make that investment in yourself. That's all you have to do. So yeah. All right, well, we are out of time. I know everybody's got to run after this one. So thank you all. Our Facebook group, please join us over there where the conversation always keeps going. And I know we talked about this last week, but we definitely want to make a little bit of a shift where we're helping people with their business some weeks. So we're only going to do it for people in the group, so make sure you come on over. So if you're having a business issue, we can talk about it like we did in a couple episodes for me. I feel like so narcissistic talking about the episode, but it really did help me. But if you go over to bit.ly/nobusiness, come over and join us. The conversation always keeps going. And we just relaunched on iTunes, so make sure you give us a rating and review, because we just went live, I think yesterday is when I first saw it. So as always, you guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I love the conversation, and we'll see you all next Thursday. And Alicia, thank you for joining us.
Yay!
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys. Aloha.